And we are live. Cullen from Elite Drywall.
What's going on, man?
I'm living the dream, pal. How you doing?
Man, I'm tired, so they kicked my butt.
What are you doing today?
Well, for the first part of the day. So I don't run my business full time, 24/7 anymore. I run it part time as I see fit or what works best for me. And I'm sure we'll get into that reasoning why later. But I work for a real estate developer in my area who owns about, oh God, 18 million worth of commercial real estate here locally.
Okay.
So I oversee all of his new build outs for his new tenants. So basically we go into a massive commercial space, meet with the architect, meet with the designer, meet with the new tenants, tear out the old space, build a new space.
Yeah. That's
But I
literally.
had to use a rotary hammer and rip up 2,800 square foot of ceramic tile
Oh,
that
God.
was grouted down to concrete, and it sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked. Yeah, me and one other guy. There's two of us.
Did you see that thing I posted where you drive it? It it's like a little Zamboni with
Yeah,
a
the
blade on it.
the floor scraper. Yeah, we actually rented one not too long ago from a local place to rip up 25-year-old carpet squares. And man, I mean, I wish it came in bigger than a 12-inch blade, but it was awesome. And
See,
you just kind of get a little squirrely when you drive with it.
oh yeah, he was wild. They
Yeah.
they repped out. So he had two laborers going behind him cleaning up,
Hmm.
and they could just keep up. Um, I asked him about the longer blade. I was like, why don't you have a 2 foot blade on this thing? And he said with the subtle variances in the floor, that
Hmm.
whatever it is, about 10 inches, that's about as big as you want to get with it, or you're gonna start missing stuff, which was a
Yeah, I can
bummer.
see that.
Yeah, I wanted to see a 5 foot blade on that thing and just
Ripping big old sheets up. Yeah, that'd be sick.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's a lot closer to like what I'm doing with the contract work, where
Yeah.
we're basically that bridge between client and designer.
Okay.
When I did the booster juice, I was doing exactly what you were doing. It was a new build, but it was basically your client has a client, and you're building whatever their spec is for it.
Yeah, so the way we do it is the owner of the company is my direct boss, and there's me and another gentleman by the name of Nick McGill, a really great dude. He's a stick frame carpenter by trade, but he's kind of a jack of all, master of none. He can do a little bit of everything really well, much like myself. Um, Billy used to, my boss, his name is Bill. He used to have a team of guys. He had an awesome sub pool, but he just got tired of constantly being on the phone, constantly scheduling everything. So he found Nick and I, and basically he calls us. We meet him at the building. We meet with the new tenants and the architect, and then he said, "You guys good?" And he leaves.
Yep,
From there on
perfect.
out, phone calls, everything. It's all in this. All and about other than heavy electrical and plumbing, we do everything from the floor up.
Perfect.
And he got really excited when I joined his team because he would have to sub out finishing and he could never find a reliable guy in our area. So he kind of, all the pieces fit together after that.
That first site that I was the site super for, that's why I was so attractive, because I could do all the trenching, and then the frame board, tape, board, finish, tile, um ceiling tile. When you got a guy like that comes in, there's a mobilization fee for every trade. And they may
Oh
say
yeah.
that there isn't, but there is. So if when you can double or triple up on a guy, you can save a bag of money. And then you,
Oh
as the
yeah.
guy doing the work, still make your money. It's just like what I would consider the gouging fees almost kind of get deleted, and then everybody wins. Yeah,
Yeah.
the other
We
part of
have
that
oh, go
sorry,
ahead,
go.
man.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the other
We
part of
have,
that is when you're when you're the one doing all the work behind you, it's done right. That's all I
right,
was gonna
right.
say.
It makes it way easier to point the finger at yourself whenever your wall isn't perfectly plumb and you're like, God damn, dude, why are these boxes leaving hard edges right here? Son of a bitch. We can curse on here, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. You could say, son of a bitch, and you go, oh man, I'm the one that did that. And then you just got to suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah.
But Yeah. We don't get a really good timeline on these projects. So like I don't know. I've been really horrible about posting on Instagram lately.
Yeah.
I I've been running 9 hours at my day job and then going doing all my finishing work for my business between like 4 and 7:30 every night, and then just coming
Oof.
home, putting my dad pants on and husband pants on, and then tanking out. And so I try to stay as relevant as possible, but I don't do like what you guys do with how much content you guys put out. I mean, that would just, I don't know where you guys, especially someone like you, I don't know where you find the time.
I have no idea, man. I honestly have
Yeah.
no idea. I have so much on the go all the time, and then I'll sit down and talk to like a regular human being, and they'll just be like, "Dude, this is too much." And I'm like, "Yeah, I agree." And I'm gonna take some stuff off. I'm gonna make some more time for myself. And then the next time I talk to that person, I'm like, "I started a podcast," or
Yeah.
I've started teaching fresco or whatever. It's I don't know. I just got to stay busy. I get a good
Speaking of, speaking of fresco, dude, I watched it on your story, but that wall behind you, dude, it looks so mint. It
it's
looks
pretty
so good.
It's pretty wild. Yeah. Yeah, I'll get my light
What
for
sealer did you put on there?
the gold. Yeah,
Did
so
you? Yeah, that looks awesome, man.
yeah, you can't
Yeah.
really see it now, but when we hop back on here after the first break, I'll get my lamp, and there are little spots in
Okay.
there that are like solid gold because I etched them in a little bit. It turned out pretty great.
Oh, nice.
The one thing about the gold sealer that I'll say is if you don't have it super tight, you do get patches of gold. Like I wanted it to
Yeah.
fill the cracks gold, which it did a great job. But like kind of in this top corner here, you've got like a shimmering of gold on it, and I don't like that. So I think that gold sealer is a little more strategic. Like if you're gonna
Yeah.
have little spots hue up, they've got a silver as well, which looking back, I think would have been better for this particular
It
wall.
would
But
have it would have played really well with the black and white, but the gold also. I mean, I can see highlights of it, but I'm sure nothing compared to what it is in person.
that's the biggest part about fresco is you don't get it like you do when you're standing in front of it, and it's kind of a bugger because it's it looks really neat, but there's like a lot of texture on that wall, little hills and jumps and skips, and the when you're looking at it from different angles, it does change the look of it quite a bit. um yeah, it's neat stuff. Should get a color
Yeah,
pack.
I need to. I've talked to Nick several times on the phone, and we exchanged texts, and
Awesome.
talked on IG. I've only seen one wall in person locally here where I live in Central Illinois. Jason Griffin, shout out to Jason Griffin, the drywall artist.
Oh
He
yeah.
does some awesome stuff, and he did a wall at his house, and it is absolutely insane. He's an artist by he's a drywall finisher by trade, but he's a phenomenal drywall sculptor, but just all around artist.
Yeah.
And he got a little detailed brush and painted all these veins in there. It looks awesome.
I bet.
Yeah, yeah.
So he went over the fresco with like paint.
Yes, and then sealed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sick. It's sick.
Cam just did that master bathroom, and that's what he said he did. He got like a metallic paint. There's a certain brand that he sent me, and you just kind of swirl it in with the mud, and then the viscosity between the paint and the mud, they don't mix. They just kind of spread,
Right on.
and it
Yeah,
looks
I
it's
I
unbelievable.
I saw that on his Instagram story, and it actually reminded me quite a bit of the wall you got behind you.
Yeah, it's just way
Um,
better.
I don't know about that.
That seems to
What
be the case with Cam. He's always better.
his work is super tight.
It's
His
so
work is
tight,
super tight.
man. Yeah, he's
Yeah, yeah.
he's especially for his age. Like I forget that, I don't think we're 10 years apart, but there is a gap there. And it's like
hmm
he's been doing it since he was in fucking diapers, a lot of this stuff. Like he is a great, great finisher.
He is. His work's top notch, and his content is super super clean. I mean, everyone's is like that are in what I would call the big players on Instagram. Yourself, Fozzy, PRC, like go
Yep.
on a Brad, all those guys. But everyone's content is so clean the way they shoot it, especially his. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is about his camera angles, but everything just looks awesome and full.
Well, like everything I do is off my phone, which is an iPhone.
Right.
When he got to Vegas, he pulled out, and I think it's a GoPro on
Hmm.
like a stick. And I was like, oh, that makes way more sense. Where
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just like the cool little angles and stuff that he does. And it also makes a big difference if you've got somebody to film you, because you can
Hmm.
kind of get that little bit of movement on that. Steve from the three-way was talking to me about it. We're going to start working together. So the content's going to get a little bit better. Um, he's got a brain for film.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so that's exciting stuff. Chad just lives like up the road from you. It sounds like Chad Hesher.
Yeah. Chad Hesher,
Hesser.
he lives about 2 hours south of me.
That's what he said. Yeah, you were 2 hours north.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a really great dude. So when I first started my business, I was self-taught. I've never worked for anybody.
That's
I've never
perfect.
had anyone other than Instagram and YouTube and trial by fire with learning how to tape.
Yep.
And I would reach out to these people on Instagram, and the community was so receptive. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody. I mean, if I shot them a message, they'd be like, "Hey, shoot me your number, and I'll give you a call when I'm done working," or "Oh, hey, I don't want to ignore you. I'm busy. I'll get back to you someday." And everyone, every single one of them, awesome. But
I
especially Chad, because I posted I was going to shut my business down, and I don't know if he thought it was because of lack of work, which it wasn't. I just family life and running a business, a small business, it became too much. He
yeah,
was like,
it's
"Hey,
very
I've
hard.
got some work right in between us. If you want to come down and give me a hand, I'd love to help you." And this, other than Instagram, this guy didn't know me. I just thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, he's a solid dude.
Oh yeah,
Now we only got to spend so much time together because he went down to Vegas with us. But yeah, what a solid dude. And like
yeah,
you have conversations with him, and they were like legit conversations.
oh yeah.
It wasn't just being polite. And then I'm pretty well constantly in contact with him now. It's he's got this monstrous house he's doing right now. He sent me the plans. I'm gonna go through them, and then I think when he's done, he's gonna hop on and we'll have an episode.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
but yeah, super, super cool guy. That's what he said today. He was like, "Hey, he lives 2 hours north of me, and he's got my accent. You'll love it."
That Midwestern nice
Oh
accent.
yeah, yeah.
That,
We were about halfway through that first night of drinking. When I looked at him, I'm like, I could just listen to you talk
yeah, we,
forever.
we we call that we call that Midwestern nice around here.
Midwestern nice. I
Uh,
like that. I like that.
yeah. Yeah, so Chad Hesher's about 2 hours south of me. Uh, Ice Rock, I can't think of his name. It eludes me right
Yeah,
now.
Richard, Eisfeller. I talk to him almost every day too.
He's actually, you know what? I posted on my stories not too long ago. I don't have a mud pump anymore, so I'm using my Columbia tube and a box filler. And
Yep.
he shot me a message. He's like, "Hey, I got one. I don't use it. I don't want to ship it, but you're in my neck of the woods. If you want to drive up here and pick it up, man, come on up." I was like, "Dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like, that's a 3 hour drive for a mud pump. I mean, that's awesome. He's
That's not
he's a
bad.
really solid dude, and the content he puts out, but he's got so much knowledge that he gives
Oh,
out. It's insane,
it's unbelievable.
and I love watching his live videos.
Yeah. Now I'm super fortunate that they save
Okay,
because I don't have the time usually during the day. I'll catch up on that stuff while I'm driving or like when I'm at home at night. But yeah,
right.
it's a lot of those like live videos that everybody gets. I kind of personally get them when he calls. Well, like
Oh hell yeah, dude.
the other day at like 9 in the morning, he called me. I think we talked for like 2.5 hours. That's like a regular thing. It's like if
Oh
you've
dude,
got
that's awesome.
yeah, if you've got the time to listen, holy shit, is there information to be
Right.
given? And super humble guy, nice guy. Yeah, he's been on the podcast twice now, and he's already like, on the next one we're going to talk about this. So I think it's going to be like a segment that we do or something quarterly or every couple of months. He's a nice guy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I try to stay up on the podcast. I got part four of the one you did with Cam and the gentleman from the East Coast.
Yeah,
I listened
Josh.
to one through Josh. Yeah. I listened to 1 through 3 today when I was working. I took off work early at like 2 o'clock, and I had a ceiling I had to go skim out for a bathroom remodel I'm doing. So I got done getting that tile up, and instead of calling it a day, I went and skimmed out that ceiling so I could
Good
paint
for
it
you.
tomorrow. Which, for the record, I hate painting and I never do it. And when the homeowner wants me to prime the job, there's a significant upcharge because
Yeah.
I spray it and back roll. But I just, man, I hate painting. But this is an older couple and they've been really cool with me in my timeline. So try to help them out where I can.
You see, and if you're comfortable skimming, you just pitch them fresco, man, and just
I've
fresco the ceiling and seal it. It's white.
I I have sent people links to Nick's website.
Mm-hmm.
I've shown them their Instagram. I've tagged them in it, and I said, "Listen, if you guys buy the material, I will do it for free.
Yeah.
I will do it if you want to do an accent wall. I will do it for free, just so I can one, I can get my hands on it, and two, I can have something to show to somebody around here
Yeah.
because the only person in our area that does it is Jason Griffin, and I know he doesn't do a whole lot of it on anything other than his own house.
Yeah, dude, when you're getting artistic with it, it's that's like a pretty specific clientele. If you're just throwing it up on
Yeah,
the walls, it's a little bit different. Um, yeah, that's what Nick said the first little while that I was talking to him. He was like, "You're gonna give a few away for free," and
yeah,
it
yeah,
just it gets you used to it. It gets people used to it. Um, but typically people they'll take a look at that and get excited about it. I was in
yeah.
CSR the other day and a guy came through. He had a bunch of questions. So we got him, we kind of sold him everything that he needed. And then on Thursday, it's in 2 days, right?
Hmm.
I'm heading out to his shop and we're gonna fresco up some walls for him. He
Oh,
doesn't
that's
know me.
awesome.
He doesn't know me any fucking different than anyone else. But yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. We're gonna tape it.
Yeah, yeah, dude, that'll be fun. That'll be a blast, actually.
Yeah, fresco's cool, man. It's you don't have to get crazy like we all do, right? If you just get it on the wall in place of paint, it's there's a lot of money to be had.
Yeah. Well, that's so I when I learned with a pan and a knife.
Yep.
And then about 2 years ago, when I found Nick on Instagram, uh, I watched all of his videos. I found him on YouTube. I started watching him. I'm like, oh man, I didn't know people finished drywall with a hawk and trowel. I thought that's just what plasters did and stucco guys, because that's what there's hardly I know one plaster person in our area, and everyone else does stucco on commercial real estate. And it's like, man, I'm gonna go buy one and give it a shot. So I went to Lowe's and bought a Marshalltown 14-inch trowel
Yeah.
and hawk, and it was a nightmare. I tried it once, covered my boots, and I'm like, yeah, this is silly. I'm
Yeah.
done. And then I saw Phil from PRC Taping using the black one from DeWalt. And I was like, oh, that looks sick. So I got online and I ordered one up, and I ordered a couple of the DeWalt trowels. I got the Ultraflex 12-inch and the Ultraflex 14-inch, and started to play with it, and now I use a Hawk and trowel for everything.
I hear that a lot where people are like,
Yeah,
this is awfully fucking awkward, and then like a week later, they're like, I'm a trowel guy now. But
yeah. It's comfortable. It's way more comfortable for me. But here's
yeah,
the funny thing. I told you I learned via social media
yep.
on everything. I started watching the drywall gangsters from Australia.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know if you
yeah,
ever seen those guys. They hold their trowels upside down, opposite of what everyone else does,
yeah.
and that's how I do it. I've tried
Oh
doing it
nice.
with the loop on the top of your hand.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel right. There's something about how it flexes when it's upside down like that. It works
yeah.
really good for me, and I like it.
That's wicked, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just about bought a pool trowel for when I did this one. And I didn't. I went and got one of those radius offset knives, and I really like it.
Do you
But
like those?
yeah, I do now. Again, Ice Rock got me on it. But it doesn't cut in the edges. Like when you go to kind of do a little bit of a swoop doing this stuff, if you have anything with a squared off edge, you're gonna dig. And
Okay.
it kind of gets rid of that. The other thing that I'm using are my tomahawks. They're so flexible. When I put that
Really?
second, yeah, when I put that second coat on, and then what you're doing is you're skimming it super tight, and then
Hmm.
you've got the two colors going, but you're still getting all the bleed through from what you did underneath, and that's kind of what makes it cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so with the tomahawks, I scrape it nice and clean with those. It's working out pretty good. It's a process, right? I've only done so many, and you can only do so many sample boards before you run out of mud
Right.
or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remodeled my house 2 years ago, and the only room I have left that's not done is my bedroom, which is the room I'm in now. And I mean, well, I'll turn the camera. I did
I
an
saw
accent
this.
wall with some old reclaimed barn wood that I did. Um, but I got to do the doors and trim in here. You know, my wife is a Joanna Gaines superstar. Everything in our house is white trim, gray walls, shiplap around our fireplace,
Awesome.
and I can't stand looking at it. So I don't have a lot of options in here, and I'm like, man, some white fresco harmony on these walls would look awesome
Yeah.
because I skim coated all the ceilings in my house. I had a crow's foot stomp,
Oh
and
yeah.
I hate that look, but it's still super popular in our area, and I do a lot of it. So I skimmed right over it, and I'm like, man, this would be really awesome if this was fresco. And I'm like, oh man, that's a lot of work to come back 2, 3 times over this.
Yeah, with a flat wall, you're gonna just go over it twice, which is nice.
Yeah,
But yeah, the
yeah,
ceiling, you're gonna do a base coat and then a big one, then a tight, yeah, and then again with
yeah.
the sealer.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
It's quite a bit. Yeah.
yeah. And I got 3 little rugrats running around all the time, so usually I got to send them out of town for the weekend to get any sort of work done around here.
Yes. Yeah, where you're
Yeah.
just like, I don't know how you're in the way all the time, but you're very good at it. They're
Oh
just
yeah,
they're just
they're good at it.
very interested, right? That's which is better. It's better than nothing. Yeah. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's good. So, the Drywall, that's
Hmm.
all you. That's your business.
Yep, yep. I started that business like 16 months ago,
Nice.
and I was toying around with names, and once again I turned to Instagram for help on how to start my business, how to model it, pricing structures, which
Yeah.
was, I found was really hard to do because I didn't know anyone locally.
Yeah.
So the biggest help to me was Dan Gray from Mudman Dan.
Oh yeah.
He shout out to Dan. He helped me out a lot, even when I was taping on the side and I was still digging coal. I was a coal miner for 8 years, by the way.
Oh, that's wild. Okay.
um pr Prior to doing this. And he helped me pick out my name. He helped me pick out the design on my logo. Him and his, it's either his girlfriend or his wife, I'm not sure, but man, they are awesome people. They helped me a lot with pricing structures, and he FaceTimed me and walked me through my first for hire job as a company. So he really helped me
Nice.
get it going off the ground. He's a great dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I get
But
those
yeah,
vibes from him.
it's all mine, and I'll be back. I'll be back to running it full time one day. It's just right now I have a 9 year old, a 4 year old, and a 7 month old,
Hmm.
and it takes too much. I was doing 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. I don't work Sundays. Period. That's my family day.
Good for you.
But then I'd come home and I'd have to do my own office work. I was my own accountant. I was my own scheduler, and it was really unfair to my wife for her to have to always be alone. Not, she had the kids with her, but I wasn't there to help the way I
Yeah.
needed to be.
Well,
Yeah,
the other
I did what I could.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like when you walk down that path of being a business owner, it's like
Hmm.
there's a lot to do. And in the beginning, it's not like everyone's rolling around in money, right? Like it's a struggle all over the
Yeah,
place,
yeah,
especially at home,
yeah.
right? When you lose sight of that,
Oh
then
yeah,
so I'm kind of happy to hear that you're backing it off and doing smart because it's not like you're going to get rusty
yeah.
and take the jobs that you really want. I wish I could go back to year one me and give him a little bit of a
Hmm.
slap and be like, listen, don't take every fucking job that comes to you. Don't do that. Don't
Yeah.
undercut
And
yourself to get jobs. Don't do that because those ones you don't come out on top anyways.
no, and I took them all. There was no drywall
Same.
job that I would not take. And if I've heard it once, I've heard it 100 times. It's, your value, your worth, your prices, what you have to make. Don't undercut those, because once you start, it's a slippery slope. And boy, I wish I would have listened to that, because I
Oh
would, yeah, knock a
yeah.
couple bucks off here, I'd knock a couple bucks off here, but then what I would lose in material on the bid and whatnot, I'd lose even more in my labor because I have a standard that I hold myself up to.
Yeah.
And the homeowners say, well, this doesn't need to be the Taj Mahal. And, they would say that all the time, Sean. I'm like, you say that, but I don't think you understand what that means.
Yeah.
They say,
Like,
code it twice and walk away. It's like, yeah, I can't do that. That's not how it works. So I'd take the extra step and it would ultimately come out of my pocket.
yeah, I did a basement for someone. It was like, my husband's gonna do it, and our uncles and cousin and friend and whatever. And it had been 6 months. The board was up, but nothing was taped, and it looked like nothing was going to get taped.
Right.
So I walked in, I asked them what their budget was, and I think she said $400 or something. And I was like, okay. And I was just like, listen, this is how I do things. And it's like, we'll be here for a week. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just to do it so you don't have any problems with it. And they literally were like, put the tape on, skim it once, we're good. And I was like,
Yeah.
we're not. I'm gonna show you what it looks like, though.
Right.
I'm happy to do that, and I'll do that for $300 or whatever it was. And they came downstairs like it was the best thing they'd ever seen before. And I was like, listen, I know you're excited that there's tape on the wall, but look at this and look at this and look at this. And they just did not care. It was for one of the kids' bedrooms that they made. It was like the best thing they'd ever seen. I was like, okay, like, please don't tell anyone I did this.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I think for them it was done, and it was better than what they would have done, I guess, and it was done right now,
Right.
and they were happy with it. I lost a lot of sleep over that job, though. Like, I had moments where I was like, I should have just done the rest for free to,
Right.
to say that it was done properly. But I only ever took that one job, and I only ever allowed that to happen once, because all the you have these weird feelings after that. Like, why
Oh
would you
yeah.
do that? Yeah. It was very
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. When I started to get a little bit of name recognition in the community, and I had some builders that were using me almost exclusively.
Perfect.
I had a list of I don't want to say rules, but like itemized line items in my contracts that said, I know this is a new building, but there will be floor coverings on the ground. And I only use at the time, which I don't hardly use anymore. I only use vinyl corner bead. I don't use metal, and this is the reason why. And
Same.
I tape all my flats and butts with 5 fuse. This is the reason why. If it was remodel work, I had a list of things that I had to do before I would even start taping the job. As what I would call prep. I steal all my brown paper with Zinsser, and I hit it with Durabond and pre-fill, and this is the only way I will do it, and this is why my prices are like this, and it
Yeah.
proved to be pretty good. And um that was just from watching people on Instagram do it.
Hmm. Yeah, I had a
The
laundry
whole
list.
all my
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna
Oh,
say,
all my all Okay, I think there's a delay because I keep talking over you.
yeah, no,
Yeah, so everything gets pre-filled. Flats, butts,
mhm.
chips, broken corners, everything gets pre-filled. Now, if it's small enough, if it's 15, 20 boards, I'll tape with easy sand and 5 fuse, so I can kind of knock out the pre-fill and tape all in one. But if it's a big job, before I even get my banjo out, everything gets pre-filled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically day one is, I go around with 90 and a screwdriver in my pocket. I'll hit all of the nails, like all the screw holes, make sure all the screws are set, fill all the big gaps, like that kind of, depending on the size of the site, that could be the whole first day. Cutting back the
Oh
outside
yeah.
corners because they're fucking uneven or whatever. Um,
Oh yeah.
doing that day of prep makes an enormous difference for the rest of the site.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do
And
you only use 90?
no, no, I very rarely use 90. Like, my first day is 90, basically, where
Okay.
it's the screws, holes, any kind of corrections. Oh, I guess I do. I use it for all my corner bead as well. That first, just covering the legs and the fiber fuse, I use 90.
Okay.
But then after that, it's all mud, and I'll do two
Okay.
2 or 3 coats depending of just mud. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It seems like lately everything I've done has been under 50 or 60 boards. So I'll get a couple of bags of 20 and just mix it up a pan at a time and just run with it. Just so that
Mhm.
way I'm always it always seems I'm so pressed for time.
Yeah.
There's never enough time for me to step back and do a job 100% the way I want to do it. There's always a reason it needs to be rushed, whether it's mine or the homeowners. And so I just use 20-minute for my corner bead. I use it for everything, but I've been using no coat only lately on
Mhm.
all my corner bead, and I really like it. I really, really like it. I
So
don't think I'll use Trimtex vinyl bead too much anymore.
like that certainteed, right? The no coat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So they have you seen their new stuff? It's got a nose on it. So
I haven't, no.
yeah, so they were just at Richard's house, and he says it's amazing. So it is basically no coat, and it's got a little rounded nose, a solid nose in the center, and then you use it. It's got to be sticks. I would assume it's not going to come in a roll, but he says it's excellent. It's
Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to look into that.
yeah, that's why I don't use the fast edge or the no code. At least typically, that's why I haven't. I'm doing some stuff with Trimtex coming up here, and I'm gonna really get used to doing the fast edge because everybody seems to be using it, and it's way faster. Like for me to cut and line up all of my beads, and then staple it all, 90 it all, fibofuse it, come back, clean it all up. That setup is just so when I come back to wipe it, it's done. Everything's perfect. You could do it quickly, but this
Right.
fast edge, man, like it just seems like you're just running with it. So why not? But what I don't like about that stuff is there's no nose. Like when I do steel or plastic, I'm wiping that nose off in between each coat because that's what I
Right.
want to be exposed because it's a clean line, right? That's what in my
It's
opinion, that
super crispy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I love the Trimtex vinyl bead. I call it the jumbo bead. I don't know if that's what it's actually called.
yeah, yeah.
I had
It's
our I had our local distributor order me a couple boxes of it because a lot of stuff I would do would have double stacked walls
yeah,
for sound, and the borders would always. I don't know how they did this, but they would
two boards
always
and then two
offset their
boards
boards.
drives me
Yes,
fucking
and
crazy.
the I don't get it. I don't get it one bit. But the regular trim text bead, it would cover, but sometimes you get some wonky corners, and that extra inch and a half or extra inch, whatever it is, man, it saves the day. And I really liked it because straight lines on all my corner bead, especially on bulkheads, is super important to me. So I would set a laser up,
Same.
and in vinyl, for me, it's a lot easier to manipulate it to hit that straight line. I mean, it might be a little wavy on super long runs, but
Mhm.
it'll be straight as an arrow, and that was a huge selling factor to me.
That's the biggest part for me. Like I come from a steel framing background, so that setting a laser and making something perfect to it is I get good feelings from that. And then
Oh, for sure.
when you do that with your bulkheads and your beads, like I know it takes a little bit longer to set a laser up, but I don't think it's ever as perfect if you don't.
Yeah. Well, what I like about the no code is I run it through that advanced mini hopper,
Yep,
and
it's that thing's
I've
wicked.
got the little dude. It's awesome. Because like I said, I don't do full houses. I've
Hmm.
done two full houses in my life, and they turned out really good, but for me and only having 4.5 years in taping and hole and only about 2 years on the tools, the auto tools,
Hmm.
it was a lot. Efficiency is everything, timing everything out is everything. So there was a huge learning curve for me to tape everything, and then instead of calling it a day at 2 o'clock, no, I needed to set my beads and pre-fill everything so they could start drying. There was some learning there, but it seems like with no code, I just run my corner roller over it, and whatever it is, it just runs with it, and it works out usually pretty good.
So then are you coding the no code? This is the newest conversation I'm having with everybody is you don't
Yes,
have to code it, you just paint it. But I don't know if I'm
I've
gonna do that.
I've never done that, and I've never seen it, and I don't know if I could do that because for me, I put it on, I run it through the hopper, I put it on, I roll it out, wipe it, and then I come back with a 10 box if I'm boxing the next day
Nice.
and hit it. And then wherever my lap marks are, I always leave it back as about, so my wheels don't run through my box line. And then I
Sure.
cross it all off by hand. But it just takes so little mud. And that's
Right.
why I like it. Even when I do it by hand, it just takes so little mud.
Yeah, well, that's what Josh was saying about those jumbo beads. Like I've used them too, but I don't feel like I am taping enough that I understand the difference in how much mud I'm using. But that's what Josh was saying
Hmm.
is those jumbo beads take an enormous amount of mud. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and that's
I,
sometimes that's you're waiting for it, but then sometimes too it's cost.
yeah. I've noticed I don't use nearly as much quickset since switching over to no coat. Because I mean, same thing. I didn't use 5 FUs on the edges of my vinyl bead. I just pre-filled and then coated it out with +3.
Yeah.
But now unless I'm pre-filling or it's patchwork, I don't use any quickset.
The other thing about the 5 FUs on the plastic bead is if when you see them and they bump it and the drywall kind of like explodes off the side, the
Yeah,
5 FUs will stop that from happening.
yeah. I
Yeah.
saw guys do that with metal bead, but I've never seen anyone do it with vinyl bead.
Yeah, it's different. See, I never saw anybody do anything with metal. It was just the metal was
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah, no, it might because when I was doing metal bead, like we're going back 15 years now. Like, so I don't think anybody gave a shit, to be honest. Like, I think it was just what everyone was doing. And it was commercial work. The guys were wizards putting it in, so there was always that pocket. It's not like we're coming back dry. All right,
Did they?
we got 1 minute left
Oh, yeah.
here.
Okay. Did they
We'll see.
nail it off or did they crimp it?
No, it was screws. Like
It was screws. Okay. See, everyone around here
not,
uses a crimping tool.
which is neat. Because that looks quick too. It's got the rollers, right? You just
Yeah.
roll it up the wall, pop, 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 pop. Yeah,
Yep.
that's cool.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yep.
we will be right back. Oh, hold on here.